There should be no place for state capture beneficiaries in an expected cabinet reshuffle, says the Helen Suzman Foundation. Let's find out more with the researcher Ezekial Kekana. Good evening to you and welcome, Ezekiel. You believe that this is an opportunity for the president to implement the State Capture Commission's recommendations by acting against officials in his cabinet implicated in the report. Just share with us, I mean, you've named them in the report, but I'll give you the opportunity to talk about, to say exactly who you're talking about and to share why.
Good evening, Iman, and good evening to SABC viewers. Well, we are saying that the president has an opportunity to fire ministers who have been implicated in the state capture report. And we make mention of Minister Mantashe, Deputy Minister Makwetla, and also Deputy Minister Kodwa, who have all been identified as having benefited from the proceeds of state capture report. With Minister Mantashe, the report states that he may have benefited from Busasa's proceeds because he got security upgrades at his home in Gauteng and also in the Eastern Cape. And with Minister Makwetla, he also got the same security upgrades from Busasa.
So Mantashe and Ezekiel Kodwa have said they will take the report on review. So in a sense, is there guilt in suspense?
Well, it tells us that maybe they think they are in guilty, because if they say they will take the report on review, it tells us something about what they think about the report. But I do not think that I was reading the report about Mr. Mantashe. There's no indication whether he went to the Johannesburg High Court to file for the review of the report. So I think it tells us about how they see themselves in the report.
I think it leads us to an interesting discussion, Ezekiel, around this being such a serious moment for the country. Not that other moments around cabinet selections have not been, or that other crises preceding the crises, the series of crises we're in now, have not been important and nearly fatal for the country, but we are in a very special moment right now. It would suggest that the president would have to do a lot more due diligence, even maybe saying to these ministers, you've been named, there is, the taint of scandal on your name. Go and resolve this, take some action so that I can, even if I do select you, I can say, this is the course of action that they've pursued. It requires the president to behave very differently to the way that he might have behaved before in the way that he makes his cabinet selections.
Well, the president has been telling us that he respects the work that Zondo and his team have been doing. And the report clearly states that Deputy Minister Kodwa and Makwetla cannot be in his cabinet. And if the president truly respects what Zondo and his team have done, then he will then have to implement the recommendations of the report, because they have to be implemented, as he has told us, and also submitted his implementation plan to Parliament to say he will be able to implement those recommendations. And I feel like this is an opportunity for him to really show that he means his weight, because he cannot just keep Minister Mantashe in his portfolio and also allow Deputy Minister Kodwa and Makwetla still be in their positions.
So given what you're saying now, has the president acted sufficiently to show his commitment to assembling an untainted cabinet?
Well, his words will be tested when he reshuffle his cabinet. If he decides to retain Mantashe in his portfolio and also Kodwa as deputy minister and Makwetla, then it will mean that his words mean nothing. So he has an opportunity to show us that indeed what he said in his recommendation report, to say that he will act on the recommendation of the state capture report, that he will be able to act on that recommendations.
Ezekiel, who else should not be a name on the president's lips, and why?
Well, we don't want to, in a way, make decision for the president. But according to our stance, in so far as what the state capture report is saying, we are saying these three people should not be in his cabinet. They should not serve as ministers and deputy ministers, because their integrity is in question. Their conduct is questionable too.
Let's just maybe go a little bit further. I know that a lot of the analysis that you share at the foundation is purely on, cause and effect and so on. But there are other elements as well. And I wonder if you want to take a foray into that aspect. And we've heard from two of our guests a little bit earlier on about the need for the president in terms of his own survival at this moment to appoint people who might need, and one of them has used the term a political bodyguard. Others would have said people who are loyal to him in his cabinet, not necessarily choosing people who are technocrats or even professionally capable of delivering the responsibilities of their portfolio. What are your thoughts as the foundation on some of the other layers that the president, in his mind, has to consider, in terms of appointing his cabinet and his ministers?
Well, the report is quite clear to say that people who are supposed to occupy positions of ministers and deputy ministers, they have to be people who have good integrity and good ethical conduct. So the president has now an opportunity to ensure that those that he appoints match those qualities, because he cannot just appoint people based on his political ties. So he has an opportunity to ensure that he's a man who's living by the Constitution. He's the man that respects the rule of law, and he's the man who respects the work that Zondo has done. And we need to give credit to the work that Zondo has done, because it's the work that kind of like revealed to us that there are certain people within the president cabinet who have misbehaved in a way. So we will allow the president to follow the Constitution and ensure that everything that Zondo has said in the report, he respects it.
Just a quick one before I let you go. Your thoughts on what one of our viewers was asking earlier, and it's a thought that's resonant, I think, for a lot of people in the country, around the need for the president to trim his cabinet and also, get rid of to get rid of deputy ministers in totality. And when I say trim the cabinet, basically cut off some portfolios that may be, repetitive in terms of the scope of work they have to do.
And that's the thing that we as a country we've been talking about the role of deputy ministers. We have deputy ministers who cannot just deliver on their job because they don't have a mandate. They're just there to have all those benefits. So we as a foundation, we can't tell the president what to do, but our belief is that the cabinet needs to be trimmed, because there are certain ministers, you don't know what will be their duties. I mean, in relation to him having to appoint a new Minister of Electricity, you ask yourself, what will be the role of Minister Pravin Gordhan as a Minister of State Enterprises, and what will be the role of Minister Mantashe as Minister of Energy? So we believe that he should indeed trim his cabinet, because the issue of deputy minister is something that we all agree that they serve no purpose. They can't even act when there's no minister.
Ezekial Kekana, thank you for talking to us tonight. We appreciate your time. Ezekiel is a researcher at the Helen Suzman Foundation. I'm going to hand over to Zai. A lot of action underway in Newlands in Cape Town. The final of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup underway. I've been trying to watch it secretly on our studio floor, and I think they still have a lot of catching up to do, but we will get the very latest for you with Zai.